represented he's represented India in the Intergovernmental Meeting of UNESCO on the issue of intangible cultural heritage and also serves as the Board of Trustees of the Indian Development Foundation. These are just a couple of the many positions, accomplishments, and awards Dr. Chinmay Pandya holds. But I think what truly defines Chinmay ji is his absolute Shraddha and Samarpan toward Param Pujya Gurudev and Vandaniya Mataji, his deep respect and devotion towards his parents, Shraddha Dr. Sahib and Shraddha Jiji, and his love, compassion, and ability to connect to any Parijan irrespective of their age or stature. आपका स्वागत है चिन्मय जी.
बहुत धन्यवाद तनुपा. Thanks a lot, Tanupa, and pranams to everyone. Let us start with the recitation of the Gayatri Mantra. Just remember Param Pujya Gurudev Paramandaniya Mataji, and we pray to them to guide us to the righteous path, the path of Sadbhav, Sadgyan, Sadkarma, and Sadpravritti, with the hope that our humble contribution to this divine yojana would lead to something meaningful for us and also for the humanity and community at large. So let's do the Gayatri Mantra together. Om Bhuva Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhemahe Dheyo Yo Naha Prachodaya. Pranams to everyone again from the Punya Bhumi, Tapobhumi and Karma Bhumi from the Shanti Kunj. It's the divine place where Gurudev gave last 20 years of his life for the betterment of the humanity. And this is a very special place because we are in the 50th year of the establishment of the Shanti Kunj. And when we are meeting in this spatial and kind of August time, then naturally a kind of question comes that what was the actual purpose for Shanti Kunj to be established? And that question comes because there is no shortage of the Math, Mandir, Ashram, or any non-governmental to spiritual organization in India, even in US or even in any other part of the world. Religions may be different or their path may be different, but you would find a place of astha, you would find a temple in whatever shape and form in each and every part of the world. In India, if you go where the India meets the boundary of the Pakistan in the northernmost frontier, which is the highest battleground of the world, the boundary is actually created by a temple. And if you go to the south where the ocean, Indian Ocean is meeting the land of India, it's meeting actually to the steps of the temple. And you go to the Jaisalmer, Tanupa Devi temple is there, very famous one. And you go to the Arunachal Pradesh where India is meeting China, then there is a temple of the Siddheshwar Nath Mandir. So each and every nook and corner of India and also in the world, we find a temple. And when we look at the life of Gurudev, somebody so great visionary, who actually not only thought about but wrote the future of humanity, wrote the manifesto of the entire new era that would be there from now on to the thousands of years from now. Then a question comes like, if this kind of lineage was already there, where so many temples were already there on the Bhumi of India, then what was the reason for another such format to be introduced by Gurudev? Because we are not necessarily the temple. We are here because we can make people temple. We are here so that we can remind them that the human life has been given with a very sacred purpose. And if each and every person is able to remember the divinity that is lying within each and every soul, then we are able to give a very new and fortunate direction to the humanity. And this year, which is the 50th year of establishment of Shanti Kunj, had come with a very specific purpose. And this is here to remind, like Gurudev said long time ago, that the world is changing. Whether we are able to see it or we are unable to see it, the fashion in which the everything is working at the moment, that would change. Its operations would change, its functions would change, its objectives would change. And when this kind of mammoth transformation is taking place, then a greater kind of vision is required. If I only need to change a part that is wrong in my car and vehicle, then I can get it done from the MOT, from the the motor workshop. But if a bigger change is required, you need to change the engine, then you would probably need to send the car back to the dealer. And if even a bigger kind of change is required, if we need to change the entire transport system of India, that we are left-handed drive now and we're going for the right-handed drive, we would drive like US and Europe, and everything else would change, then we would need to change the acts, laws, regulations, the whole system would change, ministry would change, people would change, the driving licensing pattern would change, everything would change. And this is that kind of change which would require not only one person to change, but require entire community at large to change. And when this kind of colossal and mammoth and grand kind of transformation is required, then a bigger vision is needed. And the current year is there to help us remember that Gurudev actually talked about these times long time ago. And we are just about to enter into the phase when we would see a huge divine spectacle taking place in front of our eyes. And we are fortunate. We are fortunate that we are a part of the transformation already that Gurudev talked about long time ago. And in some ways, it is also a great responsibility. Responsibility because if we are able to remember the task that has been given to us and its enormity, then two things can happen. One, people can feel overwhelmed by such a huge task, and they would think whether we would be able to do it or not. Or a true surrender could take place, that we can think it from this perspective that we are only here to follow the command of Gurudev, and he knows better. He knows that which path to take. He knows that how to fight this battle. He knows that how to win it. And if we are able to do our duties rightfully, then we would be able to do something really good, not only for our own embellishment and refinement, but also for the betterment of humanity. So, in my brief talk that I was supposed to give in the beginning, this is the only thing that I wanted to say because the questions are many. And only thing I wanted to remind everyone that we are very fortunate to be part of this divine yojana. And I hope that each of us would be able to play the role that has been entrusted upon us to play by Gurudev, Mataji, and higher divine souls. So my pranams, avahan, and gratitude to all of you for being here today, and looking forward to answering the questions that are there.
Chinmay, would you like me to read them to you? Is that how you'd like to proceed today, or do you want to follow it on your side?
I can. I just need to, because I am connected through the phone, so I just need to open them on my laptop, and then I can open it. Just give me 1 second, and I will do it.
Sure. If it's easier, I can read it to you, whatever you like.
I think I will do it. I shall be able to do it. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you.
I think the first question that came from Toronto is that Param Puj Gurudev alleviated physical, mental, emotional, and so many other problems of people at large. How can we understand Puj Gurudev solving these problems through scientific spirituality angle? It's a wonderful question. We need to understand few things. I think first thing that we need to understand that when we say scientific spirituality angle, in reality, science and spirituality, they are not two different things. If science reaches to its pinnacle, then it becomes spiritual in its approach. And if spirituality becomes demonstrable, then it becomes scientific in its approach. And they both are essentially two sides of the same coin. The world that surrounds me, and if I want to explore it, I want to know what is the composition of the air that is there, how this fan is working, how this light is actually being lighted, then I need to follow the laws of science. I need to go into the realm and domain and dimensions of the science. जो पथ मेरे से बाहर की ओर गया वो विज्ञान का पथ है, और जो मुझे मेरे केंद्र की ओर लौटा करके लाता है, the one that brings me back to my own center, that is the path of spirituality. It's just the directions are different, approaches remain the same. They both are in some ways absolutely similar. So what possibly people are asking that how can we understand it from a more scientific manner, that Gurudev was able to alleviate so many people's problems? What is the science behind it? Let's try to remember a beautiful verse that comes in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. I think it's the second chapter, 36th verse. And Patanjali is giving the outcomes that one would get if they follow the path of Yoganga, Ashtanga Yoga, as we say, Yamaniyam, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyan, and Samadhi, and in which he is talking about the Mahavrat, which are Ahimsa, Aparigraha, Satya, Brahmacharya. And when he's defining them and talking about how you are able to get the results of these Ahimsa, Parigraha, Satya, and Brahmacharya, then he talks about Satya. And he says, Satya Pratisthayam Kriyafal Ashrayatvam. That if somebody is firmly established in Satya, then it ensures the fruition of the action. Kriyafal Ashrayatam, that whatever he would say would turn out to be true. That anything, his words would invariably bear the fruit. His utterances would be infallible. Vyas says a very beautiful thing. He says, Amoghasya Vaga Bhavati, that his Vani, Vag, his Vachana, it becomes Amogh. Amogh means one that can never be failed. It's invariably precise. So if he had said it, then the whole world has to change accordingly, but it would happen. Like I give you one example. I was very small and 8 years old, 9 years old, and Gurudev had an injury in his palm, and I was applying an ointment to his hand. And he said, "We'll make you a doctor and send you to London." And I said, Gurudev, I never wanted to be. He said, I said it, but I cannot. He said, what he said? He said, you should have said it earlier that you did not want to be doctor, because now I have said it and I cannot change it. Just think how beautiful that statement is, that I have said it, I cannot change it. It's already happened now. Like I am 8 years old and I became doctor at the age of 26 or 25. And it's already been decided because he said it, and it went exactly in the same manner. I took physics, chemistry, mathematics so that I can become an engineer. Rule changed. The UP government brought a very different rule, and it brought the rule that, no matter how many marks you got, like, in your subjects, whatever you will get in the 6 monthly examination would determine your career. So I got more in biology. They shifted me to biology, did my BSc, went into MSc biotechnology, still ended up being a doctor. So, like, like Patanjali is saying, Satya Pratishtaya Kriya Phal Ashrayatvam. It's when person is so firmly established in this uh, spiritual mindset, whatever he would say would turn out to be true. That is the way from the yogic practices to see it. From a adhyatmic practice, we need to understand the theory of the karma. कर्म फल का जो सिद्धांत है, उसको स्मरण करने की आवश्यकता है. The karma फल सिद्धांत, it is based on very simple understanding. Understanding is that whatever I would think, feel, or act, depending upon its intention and intensity, I will get good or bad outcome. जो भी मैंने किया, सोचा, या मैंने उसकी भावना करी, जिसमें भी इच्छा भाव और संकल्प लगा, वो अपने इंटेंशन और इंटेंसिटी के अनुसार परिणाम लेकर के आएगा. I will get the outcome based on it. My circumstances of life would be created accordingly. और वो जो circumstances of life हैं, they are created based on the karma that I have done before. So if karma is responsible for my present day circumstances, then the same circumstances could be reversed back by the opposite kind of karma. यदि मेरे को मेरे बुरे कर्मों का परिणाम मिल रहा है, तो यदि उसमें किसी के शुभ कर्म मिलेंगे, तो वो मुझे शुभ परिणाम लेकर के जाएंगे. गुरुदेव के जीवन का इतना सही सिद्धांत था. किसी व्यक्ति के जीवन में यदि सर्कमस्टांसेस खराब होते थे, if somebody is passing through the difficult phase of the life because of the difficult circumstances, and these difficult circumstances are coming because of the purvakrit karma that he or she has done. So if Gurudev is able to infuse the good karma in it, then that negative karma would be negated off, and you will get the result of your storage of the good karma. जो उसका नेगेटिव एस्पेक्ट है, वो गुरुदेव ने अपने ऊपर ले लिया. तो गुरुदेव उसको अपने ऊपर ले लेते थे कि उनने उस पेन को, उस तकलीफ को अपने ऊपर ले लिया, और जो उसका कष्ट है व्यक्ति का, वो गुरुदेव के पास चला गया. जैसे भगवान महाकाल ने पूरी सृष्टि की जितनी भी नकारात्मकता थी, उसको अपने ऊपर ले ली. सारा जहर खुद पी गए, नीलकंठ कहलाए. ऐसे ही गुरुदेव के जीवन में होता था. जिस व्यक्ति की तकलीफ होती थी, उस तकलीफ के पीछे का जो कर्म है, उसको गुरुदेव अपने ऊपर ले लेते थे, तो व्यक्ति के जीवन का शुभ उदय हो जाता था. There is a interesting incident. I'm trying to mix both because some people can understand only Hindi and some people can only understand English. So I'm trying to mix both of them together. And एक interesting anecdote है गुरुदेव के जीवन का. जयपुर के अपने एक सज्जन थे, बहुत ईमानदार थे. He was a very honest person. But people were jealous, of course, because he was so honest. तो एक बार कुछ लोगों ने उनकी झूठी शिकायत कर दी, and they lodged a complaint. Almost the entire department, they lodged a complaint against him, क्योंकि वो किसी को न बेईमानी करते थे, न करने देते. तो जब झूठी शिकायत कर दी, तो उनके अगेंस्ट में वारंट निकल गया कि सजा होगी. तो ही वेंट स्ट्रेट गुरुदेव के पास आया कि गुरुदेव ऐसा ऐसा हो रहा है. कोर्ट ने तय भी कर दिया है कि सजा देने वाले हैं, मुझको कोर्ट में सरेंडर करना है. गुरुदेव ने कहा कि बेटा सजा नहीं होगी. You won't get the any kind of, you did the good deeds and nothing bad can happen to you. And whatever the purvakrit karma that are responsible for your present day circumstance, I am taking upon me. तो गुरुदेव ने क्या किया कि उनको 2 लोहे के छल्ले दिए, आयरन रिंग्स ही gave it to him. और उन्होंने कहा कि बेटा इसको पहन लेना, अपने हाथ में पहन लेना. तो उन्होंने दोनों उंगलियों में पहन लिया, दोनों हाथ के उंगलियों में पहन लिया, पहन करके चले गए. कोर्ट में पहुंचे तो एवरीथिंग वाज गॉन. कोई केस नहीं, कुछ नहीं. जिन लोगों ने कंप्लेन ली थी, उनने वापस ले ली. तो उनने उन जो छल्लों को था, उनको पूजा के घर में रख दिया, पूजा करने लगे. गुरुदेव गए जब दोबारा जयपुर, तो वो अपने पूजा घर में गुरुदेव को ले गए। गुरुदेव ने कहा, छल्ले यहाँ क्यों रखे हुए? बोले, गुरुदेव आपने दिए थे तो बहुत ही चमत्कारी थे एकदम, इनके कारण मेरा सारा कष्ट चला गया। गुरुदेव हंसे, बोले, नहीं बेटा, कष्ट तो मैंने अपने ऊपर ले लिया था। आई हैव टेकन इट अपॉन माई सेल्फ, बट आई गेव यू दीज बिकॉज द कर्म दैट यू हैड was forcing you to be handcuffed। आपको हथकड़ी लग रही थी, उसको मैंने कितना भी कम करके लिया तो भी थोड़ा सा झटका जाना था, तो इसलिए कहा कि आप छल्ले अपने हाथ में पहन लो। वो जो हथकड़ी का कर्म है वो छल्लों में निकल जाएगा। तो जो इसके पीछे का विज्ञान है वो यही है कि व्यक्ति के कर्मों को वो अपने शुभ कर्मों से निरस्त कर देते हैं। दे निगेट द नेगेटिविटी ऑफ अदर पर्सन्स कर्म बाय देयर ओन गुड कर्म। In some ways it is very divine, in some ways it is very hard thing to do। लोगों की जन्म जन्मांतर की तपस्या होती है और ऐसा वही कर पाने की सामर्थ्य रखता है जिसको अपनी तपस्या के ऊपर भरोसा होता है कि मैं कल फिर से तपस्या कर लूंगा, पर आज इस व्यक्ति की सहायता मैं अवश्य कर दूं। वो कर पाने का साहस सिर्फ महापुरुषों के अंदर और अवतारी सत्ताओं के अंदर होता है। तो पहले प्रश्न का ये उत्तर था। Second question has been asked by Parijan from Pennsylvania, and they have asked that would we consider opening a medical college under DSVB and being promoted by Mr. Modi। बहुत अच्छा प्रश्न है। मेरे ख्याल से this thought has been going on for quite some time, but there is a challenge is that our philosophy is very different। Our philosophy is to offer everything to the people for free। हम सारी चीजें लोगों को निःशुल्क देना चाहते हैं। And it's a huge challenge in the current situation to create medical college with that kind of format। उसी तरह के प्रारूप को लेते हुए मेडिकल कॉलेज को बनाना थोड़ा सा मुश्किल है, क्योंकि जैसे लोग कंट्रीब्यूट करें और भावना से लोगों ने अनुदान दिया, तो हम बहुत मेहनत करेंगे तो हो सकता है कि हम लोग एक अच्छा हॉस्पिटल बना दें, पर तब भी हॉस्पिटल में स्टाफ को रखने के लिए, स्टाफ को एक्सपेंसेस को देने के लिए, स्टाफ की अपनी सैलरीज की रिक्वायरमेंट्स को मीट करने के लिए, आपके पास रिकरिंग एक्सपेंसेस को करने के लिए एक दूसरे सिस्टम की आवश्यकता होगी। जैसे सपोज करिए, ऐसे सोचिए आप कि एक एमआरआई की मशीन लगभग 3.5 करोड़ की आती है। लोगों ने भावना से अनुदान दिया और आपने 10 करोड़ का कॉम्प्लेक्स बनाया, क्योंकि अब मशीन ही तो देंगे नहीं, आपको मशीन का सेटअप भी बनाना पड़ेगा, बिल्डिंग बनानी पड़ेगी। एमआरआई के जो अपने इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स होते हैं उनको रखने के लिए आपको एक पूरा अलग से एस्टेब्लिश एक अलग बिल्डिंग बनानी पड़ती है। तो लेट्स से कि लोगों ने 10 करोड़ का अनुदान दिया, आपने बना दिया, पर वहां पर जो स्टाफ है, आपको जो न्यूरो रेडियोलॉजिस्ट रखना है, उसकी बाहर की विश्व में, भारत में लगभग सामान्य जो उसकी मंथली एक्सपेक्टेशन है वो 5 लाख रुपए की है। कोई भावना से भी 3 लाख रुपए पर मंथ में आ भी गया, तो वो जो 36 लाख रुपए का है और बाकी के स्टाफ की जो व्यवस्थाएं हैं और जो बाकी की रिकरिंग एक्सपेंसेस है, सिर्फ एक एमआरआई सेंटर की मैं बात कर रहा हूँ, उसको मैनेज करने के लिए आपको लोगों से पैसे लेने पड़ेंगे। और जहां हम लोगों से पैसा लेना शुरू करेंगे, वहां पर कहीं हम अपनी फिलॉसफी में कॉम्प्रोमाइज कर रहे होंगे, क्योंकि उसमें चेक लगाना मुश्किल होता है। जब तक हम नहीं ले रहे हैं और हमने तय कर रखा है कि हम नहीं ले रहे हैं, वहां तक तो नहीं लेना बिल्कुल सही है, पर जब वो लेना शुरू होता है तो उसके बाद उस पर ये अंकुश लगाना मुश्किल हो जाता है, क्योंकि कल को एक्सपेंसेस बढ़े तो लोग कहेंगे कि आप इसका बढ़ाइए, और तब कहीं किसी न किसी रूप में हमको अपनी फिलॉसफी से कॉम्प्रोमाइज करना पड़ता है। तो वो थोड़ा आज की परिस्थितियों में मुश्किल दिखाई पड़ता है, पर हो सकता है कि आने वाले समय में उसको हम किसी तरह से कर पाने की स्थिति में आए। इसलिए अभी के समय में जो हम करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, वो हम ये करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि हमको सेवा करने के माध्यम को ढूंढना है। तो हम लोग नर्सिंग कॉलेज को एस्टेब्लिश करने की सोच रहे हैं, क्योंकि नर्सिंग कॉलेज की व्यवस्था को बनाना मेडिकल कॉलेज की व्यवस्था को बनाने की तुलना में ज्यादा बेहतर है। इट इज इजियर टू मेक दैट हैपन in as comparison to the medical college. अब तीसरा क्वेश्चन है फ्रॉम लॉन्ग आइलैंड से, is there any future plan to set up a group of US, Canada run by local youth that do marketing of thought revolution, especially Gurudev's literature in USA, Canada by means of all social medias available? So absolutely, there is definitely a path, and I think already the youth of the US and Canada are doing remarkable in that respect. They are not only publishing a newsletter that's been wonderfully published by them. They are also contributing in many other ways. Many of the youth of the US, they have created the audiobooks. Many of them have helped us in the translation. Many of them have helped in refining the translation. इसमें जब हम सोशल मीडिया की बात करते हैं, तो I need to actually think about three things. I think three words are important for us to remember. One is that in any kind of publicity, first thing is the propaganda. When people are not doing anything, but they are talking a lot. Second is publicity. When people are doing and they're also talking about it. Third, we neither need propaganda nor we need publicity. What we need is the presentation. We need the presentation of the activities of the Gayatri Parivar to the righteous ear in the righteous manner, in the righteous format. जो सही तरीका है उसको करने का, उसको सही तरीके से सही कानों तक सही माध्यम से पहुंचा सके, तो our purpose is accomplished. And for that to happen, what we need good translation of Gurudev's literature. Good translation in the sense that it should be in the language that people can understand in that continent. USA की इंग्लिश थोड़ी सी डिफरेंट है, यूके की थोड़ी सी डिफरेंट है, खासकर यदि आप नेटिव स्पीकर्स के बीच पे जाएंगे तो you would need a very different kind of English. So we need good translation not only in English but also in other languages, in Spanish, in French, in German, in Portuguese. And we need also good audiobooks. There was a time where constantly good audiobooks were being provided by the youth of US. And we also need good means of spreading them to the righteous people. And I think nobody can do this job much better as compared to the youth, because they have got the best ways actually to connect with the people. They have got the best tools to connect with the people. So I think absolutely there is a future plan, not only the plan, but the current plan, I would say, and also an expectation that we can speed it up and we are able to do it in a much more faster manner. One thing, Amy, when I wanted to check, is this people wanted to hear it in English or they wanted to hear it in Hindi?
We have a mixed audience today, so I appreciate you adjusting for both. We were planning for English, but I appreciate you accommodating Hindi too. Thank you.
Thank you, Didi. Thank you. Fourth question is, Nari Jagran and Nari Shakti has always been a key focus of Gayatri Parivar, and we have made great strides. Studies of pandemics such as Ebola have shown that the ones most affected are women's education, women stopping their careers and work outside their homes due to the needs within the home. COVID has created a huge impact to women and girls' future globally. Can you please share some actionable ways in which women can effectively pivot and navigate this unprecedented time and continue making sustainable progress? Again, a wonderful question, especially in the context that this is the Nari Sashaktikarana Varsh. And we need to see, that as compared to many other organizations, the vision and philosophy that Gurudev has given has been so progressive and so strong and so wonderful in all its respects. I always give an example, a good friend of mine, she has been the president of Ireland. She was president of Ireland for 14 years. And she also got the Nobel Peace Prize. And still she wasn't permitted to be a bishop in Ireland because women are not permitted to do so. And it's 2015 we are talking about. So imagine in 1970s, जब 1970 में लोग बोलते थे कि महिलाएं घर से बाहर नहीं आ सकती, women cannot come out of the house. Gurudev made them in charge. We are the only ashram from then till now where all the religious activities, all the sanskars, all the rituals are being conducted by the women. ये प्रश्न ही चला गया कि महिलाएं कर सकती है कि नहीं कर सकती, प्रश्न ये हो गया कि वो तो करा रही हैं, आप करना चाहते हो कि नहीं. So it was the huge revolutionary step taken by Gurudev a long time ago. And what kind of things that could be done in the current time? मेरे ख्याल से क्या है कि 4 या 5 चीजें हैं जो मेरी दृष्टि में आती हैं. I think couple of things. And I think if जो हमारी बहनें हैं वो current context में इस तरह की टीम बना सकें तो it would be a great help. One thing is that एक टीम ऐसी हो जो घरों में लोगों के साथ कम्युनिकेट करने का काम कर सके, विच women जो पावर है, they are already doing it much more beautifully. Only thing is that we need to get that documented somewhere. और जो हम कम्युनिकेट करना चाहते हैं वो क्या करना चाहते हैं? पहला तो हम लोग चाहते हैं कि लोगों की जो तकलीफें हैं उनको अच्छी तरह से एक्सप्लोर किया जा सके, क्योंकि कोविड के समय में बहुत लोग बहुत सारी तकलीफों से गुजरे हैं. People have gone through very difficult times, financially, emotionally, from the family point of view, health point of view. So if a team that is there, and it does not have to be a central team, it could be a team of Toronto, it could be a team of Montreal, it could be a team of US and every other city. And the team then can communicate with every single person and ask how is the situation at home, उनकी जो general well-being है वो कैसी है, किसी को कोई financial difficulty तो नहीं है, everyone is safe and well in the house, उनको कोई financial support की जरूरत तो नहीं है. And also there are people, when it comes to providing the support to the people, there are different kinds of people are there. Some people are very vulnerable, जिनको की बहुत ज्यादा तुरंत हेल्प की आवश्यकता होती है. Then there are people who need kind of modest support in other areas. किसी के लिए immediate financial help जुटाना जो है जरूरी होगा, किसी को हो सकता है ट्रीटमेंट में सहयोग की आवश्यकता हो, और किसी को हो सकता है कि we can provide a loan within the परिवार itself so that the person can come out of the difficult time. And some people may need a material kind of help, किसी को अपने घर में हो सकता है कि difficult time से गुजरे हो तो हमारे पास कोई सामान हो जो उनके उपयोग का आ सकता हो, किसी को मेडिसिन्स की जरूरत हो सकती है, किसी को किसी अन्य तरह की चीजों की आवश्यकता हो सकती है. तो one thing that this communication team can do is actually exploring these kind of possibility. घर में सब लोग कैसे हैं, किसी को कोई तकलीफ तो नहीं है, everyone's health and well-being would be checked, ensured. Second thing this team can do is connecting people. आपके एरिया में और कौन लोग हैं जो गायत्री परिवार के हैं, what other things we can do, आप वहां पर जाकर के और क्या कर सकते हैं. तो that kind of connection could be established by our team. Also, they could be the team to convey at the moment, so many sometimes the wrong informations are floating into the media, social media. तो उनको सही मैसेज पहुंचाने का काम हो सकता है कि भाई करंट डिफिकल्टीज में आप लोगों को कैसे रहना है, आप किन चीजों का पालन करें, आपको किस तरह से जो है अपनी हेल्थ को आप बेहतर बना के रख सकते हैं. These things can be conveyed to them. Also, the messages of Shanti Kunj could be conveyed to them. Any new yojana that is coming could be conveyed to them. So it becomes a best way to reach out to the people. And the same team can also help in counseling people. किसी के घर में कोई difficulty है तो उसको किस तरह से counseling कराई जा सकती है. And of course, this team can help in the communication. तो एक काम तो इस तरह का संभव है. एक ये संभव है कि एक टीम हो सकती है जो लोगों को घरों पर, क्योंकि एक बहुत बड़ा जॉनर है जो कोविड के कारण, कोविड के बाद घरों पर ही लगभग अपने कार्य को कर रहा है. तो दे आर आइदर वर्किंग फ्रॉम होम और दे हैव शिफ्टेड टू ए मॉडल वेयर दे आर मोर और लेस डूइंग एवरीथिंग फ्रॉम होम. So a team could actually help them to maintain their daily routine so that their health could remain perfect. They could also be actually like, encouraged to do the sadhana, read Gurudev's literature, engage in one of the रचनात्मक एक्टिविटीज ऑफ द शांति कुंज. तो एक टीम इस पर काम कर सकती है. एक टीम का सजेशन मेरा ये होगा कि इफ दिस इज समथिंग दैट यू वुड विश टू टेक, देन वी वुड बी वेरी हैप्पी टू प्रोवाइड द हेल्प. कि आप में से ऐसे लोग जितने हैं हु कैन प्रोवाइड ए काइंड ऑफ कोर्स टू द पीपल, कोई स्किल बेस्ड कोर्स है जो लोगों को आप घर पे देना चाहते हैं, then DSVB, Dev Sanskriti Vishwavidyalaya, can easily provide the endorsement to that certificate. You could be the course coordinator and you can offer it on behalf of Dev Sanskriti Vishwavidyalaya to the people at home. जैसे अभी यूके की टीम के साथ हम लोगों ने काम करना शुरू करा, तो उसमें कुछ लोग ऐसे हैं जो मैथ्स की ट्यूशन दे रहे हैं, कुछ ऐसे हैं जो सॉफ्टवेयर के कोर्स दे रहे हैं, and they are giving it in the Gayatri Chetna Kendra of Leicester, and certificate is being jointly provided by the Dev Sanskriti Vishwavidyalaya, Gayatri Chetna Kendra Leicester, and the course coordinator. So that kind of activity could be done in the Chetna Kendra Leicester. I think 95% courses are being offered by the Nari Shakti themselves. So that is another thing that could be done. Another thing that could be done in the current context is कि गायत्री परिवार शायद अकेला ऐसा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन रहा जहां पर एक बहुत बड़ा नारियों का वर्ग ऐसा आगे आया जिसने बिना किसी चिंता के, बिना किसी परवाह के, वो लोग अपने अपने घरों में छोटी जगह से निकल करके आए थे, छोटे गांवों से निकल करके आए थे, बट दे वर एब्सोल्युटली करेजियस. दे वेंट विद फुल डिटर्मिनेशन एंड दे ट्राइड टू चेंज द सोसाइटी. तो ऐसी जो हमारी बहनें हैं जिनने अपना जीवन गुरुदेव के इसी कार्य को करने के लिए लगाया, वी कैन अरेंज ए सेरेमनी टू कन्वे आवर ग्रेटिट्यूड टू दैम. उनका एक सम्मान समारोह रखा जा सकता है नारी सशक्तिकरण के वर्ष में, जहां पर उनके प्रति हम अपने धन्यवाद को अर्पित कर सकें. तो आई थिंक इन द करेंट कॉन्टेक्स्ट मेनी थिंग्स कुड बी डन. वन थिंग इज दैट people can develop a team where, like, it could be a team could communicate with the people sitting at home, helping to connect with them, convey them the right message, counseling them, communicating with them. Then also a team could help people develop a better kind of lifestyle at home. साधना, स्वाध्याय, संयम, सेवा, जो गुरुदेव ने बोला. तीसरी टीम जो है वो लोगों को ग्रेटिट्यूड के लिए काम कर सकती है. चौथा, कोर्स को ऑफर करने के लिए हम लोग काम कर सकते हैं. तो ऐसे बहुत सारे काम है जो कि कर पाने संभव है. आई होप दैट आंसर्स द क्वेश्चन. One question is there, and it's a good question. It says, how does one gain control over one's own thoughts? सही बात तो यह है कि we don't have to control the thoughts. We have to control the mind. Thought is only, like, an aberration into it. And for us to control the mind, we need to go beyond the mind to do it. Problem is that we use the mind to control the mind, and that can never happen. We need to change our center. We need to change the center of our existence to help one to go beyond the mind. और वो करने के लिए बहुत ही सिंपल चीज को करने की आवश्यकता है. फर्स्ट थिंग इज दैट वी लर्न टू सेपरेट ourselves from the operations that are taking place around me. जो मेरी जिंदगी में चारों तरफ घट रहा है उससे थोड़ा मेरे को अपने आप को सेपरेट आउट करके देखना पड़ेगा. बिकॉज आवर माइंड बिकम्स इन्मेश्ड विद एवरीथिंग दैट हैपेंस अराउंड अस, एंड इट नेवर allows us to see ourselves from a perspective of a sadhak. और वो करने के लिए I need to separate it out. Our personalities have become so deeply embedded into the circumstances that I need to first take it out. और उसके लिए गुरुदेव की दी गई जो अप्रोच है, इट इज परफेक्ट. गुरुदेव ने अप्रोच दी थी आत्मबोध, तत्वबोध वाली, हर दिन नया जन्म, हर रात नई मौत. कि everyone should live their life like this is the only day given to them to live. और जब सुबह के वक्त में हम लोग शुरू करें तो इंट्रोस्पेक्शन के साथ शुरू करें. we start with analysis कि हम लोग जिंदगी में कहाँ पर हैं? Where are we standing in our life's journey? Is this the place where we wanted to be? यदि हमें लगे कि हम लोग गलत जगह पर हैं, तो we need to change the course. That is आत्मनिर्माण. If we think we are right and we just have to improve it, then it's the आत्म सुधार, self improvement. जब हम उस पथ को लेकर के चलते हैं, तो then we are able to develop an ability to go beyond the mind. माइंड के ऊपर कंट्रोल करने के लिए माइंड के बियॉन्ड जाना जरूरी है, और वो तभी संभव हो पाता है जब हम माइंड को एक इंद्रिय के रूप में ट्रीट करना शुरू करते हैं. We don't give the commands of our life to the mind. So this is the best way to do it. Best way to do it is by self-introspection, Atmabodh and Tattvabodh sadhana that Gurudev has given. Hope that answers the question. Sixth question that comes from Toronto. COVID seems to be fading as we see many markets, economies opening up fully and companies returning to hybrid or in-person work. The lockdown in some ways made us choose wisely on how we spend our time. How best should we approach the world after COVID? What should we welcome back or welcome anew into our lives? It's a very good question. Gurudev used to say a wonderful thing. He used to say that we should treat disaster in the manner that every second is a disaster. ये सोच करके तैयारी नहीं करनी चाहिए कि जब डिजास्टर आएगी तब हम लोग उसके मैनेजमेंट के लिए कुछ करेंगे. We should prepare like every second there would be a disaster. And if we are prepared in that manner, then every second we can find an opportunity. So I think one way to live it after the COVID is that we should think in the same manner as we were thinking during the pandemic time. Whatever good things that pandemic has taught us, we should learn to value it. First thing is the life itself. जिंदगी हम लोगों को मिली है, पर आदमी उसकी कीमत कहाँ जान पाता है, और जब उसके ऊपर खतरा आता है तो एकदम आदमी महसूस कर पाता है कि वो कितने मूल्य की है, how precious that life is. So we have got life, we should learn to value it. We have got health, we should learn to value it. We have got family, we should learn to value it. And we have got Gurudev, we should learn to value it. ये सारी चीजों को यदि हम लोग इनके मूल्य को, महत्व को और सौभाग्य को स्मरण कर पाते हैं तो अपने आप जिंदगी श्रेष्ठ बन जाती है. जीवन भगवान ने दिया, अभी तक तो गया नहीं, तो यदि उसके मूल्य को महसूस कर सकें. स्वास्थ्य है हम लोगों के पास, बहुत सारे लोगों को बहुत तकलीफ से गुजरना पड़ा. परिवार है हम लोगों के पास, और कोविड के दिनों में तो व्यक्ति परिवार के मूल्य को और भी गंभीरता के साथ महसूस कर पाया. मुझे अभी भी याद है कि ऐसे कई लोग थे जो अंतिम समय में अपने परिवारों को भी नहीं देख पाए. That was such a tormenting experience for them, such a traumatic experience for them. So I think post-COVID time, one way to live it is by valuing everything that we have been able to save so far. We have got life, so precious, value it. Health is there. गुरुदेव ने कहा स्वस्थ शरीर स्वच्छ मन, वैल्यू इट. परिवार है हम लोगों के पास, अपना ही नहीं पूरा गायत्री परिवार है. वी शुड लर्न टू वैल्यू इट. गुरुदेव है हम लोगों के पास, उनका आशीर्वाद है, नहीं तो हम लोग बैठे भी ना होते. वैल्यू इट. आई थिंक दैट कैन बी एन अप्रोच टू proceed further, is to value everything that we have been able to save so far. Then comes, I think, probably the last question comes from Montreal, and it says that usually we love from a place of ego. True. Can you shed light on what does love without ego look like or feel like? How can we practice truly loving? It's a very good question. Very, very good question. Let's try to understand love. प्रेम जिसको हम लोग बोलते हैं उसको अंडरस्टैंड करने की कोशिश करते हैं. वन वे टू लुक एट इज द बायोलॉजिकल वे, लाइक जिसको हम लोगों की डॉक्टरी का जो वे है. एंड दे से दैट नथिंग इज हैपनिंग, देयर इज नो लव, देयर इज नो प्रेम, देयर इज नो अफेक्शन, इट्स ओनली द हार्मोनल imbalance. This is the new theory. And they say that basically three stages are taking place. The first stage is the stage of the lust, when testosterone and estrogen are surging. तो जब वो सर्ज करते हैं तो people get the feeling of excitement. If they see the same person, they feel excited about. They want to hear about the same person. They want to know more about the person. And that feeling of the lust is guided by the hormones testosterone and estrogen, male and female. That is followed by a stage called the stage of attraction, in which three hormones are playing the role. I'm talking about the biological way. One hormone, or rather neurochemical, is the adrenaline, which makes people to feel excited about this connection that they have discovered. जो हमारे को फीलिंग होती है, लोगों को एंग्शियस जैसा लगने लग जाता है, they start to feel much and much more and more attracted to the person that is coming from this hormone. Second is dopamine. Second neurochemical is dopamine. Third is the serotonin. Dopamine is responsible for the feeling of the pleasure, that you feel very happy being in that situation. And serotonin dominates the thinking. So person is actually thinking about the same person and again. And then comes, from a biological point of view, the last stage, which is the stage of the attachment, where oxytocin and vasopressin are playing their role. And moment they start to fade away, they say attachment is going. Then in that case, the hormones have disappeared. It is partly right, but not the full truth. Why it is partly right? Partly right because, of course, you can see this kind of neurochemicals playing their role in these stages. But what is not right, that why it is happening to a certain person and not happening to other person? And what is responsible for testosterone to surge while being in certain situation but not in other situation? There comes the more philosophical way, the way of the Gita to understand it. Second chapter, 62nd and 63rd verse, Bhagwan Krishna is saying, he says, Dhyayato Vishyanpunsha Sangasteshu Pajayate Sangas Sanjayate Kama Kama Krodho Pajayate Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha Sammohad Smriti Vibhrama Smriti Vanshasha Buddhinasho Buddhinasha Pranashyate. Dhyayato Vishyanpunsha. If I am thinking about a person or an object or anything, it even goes beyond the person. Because Bhagwan is saying that you don't have to have a attachment with only a person. You can have an attachment with a pen, you can have an attachment with a car, you can have an attachment with your position, you can have an attachment with the clothes that you wear, you can have even attachment with the dogs and cats and the pets that you would have. So it makes no difference that what is the object. Dhyayato Vishyanpunsha. If I am thinking about it again and again, I develop a desire to have it. Sangasteshu Pajayate. I develop a desire to be in company of that thing. Moment I have a desire of having it, it comes with an expectation. Because I may want that thing, but that thing may not want me. So that expectation is bound to give us rejection. जहां पर भी आग्रह है, वहां पर उसके ठुकराने की संभावना है. जहां पर भी चाहत है, वहां पर उसके जाने की संभावना है. तो भगवान कहते हैं कि वो जाएगा. और द मोमेंट दैट काइंड ऑफ डिटीरियोरेशन यू हैव, यू डेवलप अ फियर कि मेरे पास जो है वो चला तो नहीं जाएगा. और द मोमेंट यू हैव फियर, ही सेज योर पर्सनालिटी हैज बीन ब्रोकन. और उसके बाद फिर उसमें शांति को ढूंढ पाना मुश्किल है. तो ही गिव्स अ मच मोर फिलोसॉफिकल वे. अब जो उसका आध्यात्मिक वे है, इट इज इवन मच मोर ब्रॉडर. क्योंकि जो मीरा का प्रेम है वो सड़क पर चलते व्यक्ति का प्रेम नहीं है. उद्देश्य भिन्न हो जाते हैं. जो हिटलर का प्रेम नहीं मिला तो उसने पूरे दुनिया में विश्व युद्ध कर दिया. बुद्ध को गाली देने के लिए आए तो उन्होंने उनको भी प्रेम किया। व्यक्ति व्यक्ति के अनुसार, डिपेंड्स अपॉन पर्सन टू पर्सन, आवर अप्रोच टू लव चेंजेस। द डिफरेंस इज that for a common man, this is the main thing that I think important to remember, that for a common man, love becomes more like a politics. We want to occupy the other person. We want to have more control. We want to have more power over the other person. उनको कैसे कपड़े पहनने चाहिए, उनको कहाँ जाना चाहिए, उनको किन से मिलना चाहिए, उनको किन से नहीं मिलना चाहिए, उनको कैसे बात करनी चाहिए, उनको कैसे नहीं बात करनी चाहिए. Everything the person would like to have control over it. If other person is not doing it, people start to develop envy and anger about it, because this feeling of love had come with a feeling of ego, with a feeling of occupying the other person, possessing the other person. और यहाँ पर एब्नॉर्मलिटीज डेवलप होती हैं, जहां पर लोग थक गए हैं इस तरह की रिलेशनशिप से करते करते कि नहीं, हम अदर पर्सन की ईगो को सेटिस्फाई नहीं कर सकते. They start loving dogs, cats, cars, because they would not say anything in return. पर जो spiritual mindset है, it is very different. Spirituality में जो प्रेम पैदा होता है, वो अपने आप को खोने के बाद पैदा होता है. मैं हूं ही नहीं, तो हर चीज प्रेम का माध्यम हो गया. आप सिर्फ उस प्रेम को बहाने का माध्यम बन रहे हैं. जो कबीर दास ने कहा, प्रेम गली अति साकरी जामे दोनों समाये. जो प्रेम की गली है, द स्ट्रीट ऑफ द प्रेम ऑफ लव इज वेरी नैरो. टू कैन नॉट गो इनसाइड इट. प्रेम गली अति साकरी जामे दोनों समाये. जब मैं था तब हरि नहीं, जब हरि है तब मैं नहीं. यदि मैं गया तो भगवान नहीं जा सकता. इफ आई एम एंटरिंग, देन डिवाइन कैन नॉट एंटर. बट इफ डिवाइन एंटर्स, देन देयर इज नो नीड फॉर मी टू एंटर, बिकॉज डिवाइन इज द ओनली थिंग. सो the idea of the spiritual love is to go beyond the individual boundaries and restrictions. हमारे जीवन में जो restrictions आते हैं, वो हमारे ईगो के कारण आते हैं. जहां पर हमने उन बाउंड्रीज को तोड़ दिया, वहां पर वो सभी के लिए बहता है, हर चीज के लिए बहता है, हर व्यक्ति के लिए बहता है. पर जब तक सामान्य व्यक्ति उस स्थान तक न पहुंचे, तब तक वो क्या करे? Till the time they have not reached to that state where they have become absolutely one with divinity. There comes a very beautiful story, you may love it. It's a story in the Shiva Sutra. So Parvati ji is asking a question to Lord Shiva, and she asks a question. She says that if everyone who follows a path of love, why do they get pain in return? Ideally आपने लव किया तो आपको खुशी मिलनी चाहिए, बाद में पेन क्यों मिलता है? एंड भगवान शिव क्या उत्तर देते हैं? भगवान शिव कहते हैं, सृष्टि की शुरू में, in the beginning, I have divided every soul into two halves. I kept one half with me and I left other to take birth, which means that everyone is incomplete. And we are trying to find completeness in another incomplete soul. And two incomplete cannot make one complete. When I am searching for happiness in another, I forget that if I had it, then I won't be searching it on the first place. मेरे पास होता तो मुझे कहीं जाने की जरूरत नहीं थी, मैं अपने आप में ही तृप्त और तुष्ट होता. जब दोनों के पास नहीं है, तो दोनों के आपस में मिलने से वो दूसरे को कैसे पूर्णता दे सकते हैं? पूर्णता तो वहीं से मिलेगी जहां पर दूसरा हाफ है. द fulfillment can only come from the other half, and the other half lies with the divine. But till the time we have reached to that divine state where our ego is completely gone and we are able to feel one with the unified consciousness, some practical things that one should remember is that when people they go through these relationships, they should not forget their friends and family, and they should also not forget the accountability. Relationships are there, but they can never be bigger than the accountability that lies upon us. So I think जिस प्रेम को दुनिया जानता है, वो प्रेम तो अहंकार से निकल करके आता है. That is coming from a desire to occupy the other person. It becomes more like a politics. But the one that comes from the higher ground, it breaks those boundaries and it allows one to flow like a river. And river needs no boundaries. It flows and it helps everyone. It reaches to every single soul. And our life can become that if our pursuit is divine and our approach is sacred. So I hope that answers the question.
It absolutely does. Thank you so much. I'm just going to ask Tanupa, if you want to just close off with the key takeaways for him, that'd be great.
Yes, okay. So the first one is we're very privileged to be part of this very great transformation. And I see it as a way to just make time for yourself and really focusing on bettering yourself as a person through meditation or just spending some time alone and introspection. Able to sorry?
Sorry, we were losing your connection. It's okay, continue.
Oh, okay. We talked a little bit about setting up teams with specific purposes, such as counseling, delivering courses, helping sustain sadhana at home, and hopefully we can implement that in the near future. The other thing is to make sure that you're not controlling your thoughts, but try to control your mind. And to change our center of existence, we have to go beyond the mind. The next one is treating disaster as every second could be a disaster and we should find opportunity. So I think the pandemic has really taught every single one of us what we value most in our life, whether it's losing someone or whether it's just being able to spend more time with your family. And I would say that as we may be exiting the pandemic or as things are starting to come back up, just make sure that those things that you put so much time and effort and value into, you don't forget about those when your life gets busy again. And then the last one is true love and fulfillment can only come from the other half that is with the divine.
Thank you, Sanupa, for summarizing that so beautifully. Chinmay, thank you so much for attending today.
Thank you to you,
Really
Amibai,
great
for organizing
thank
it.
you.
Thank you to you. I can see Tanupa on the screen, so thank you to you, Tanupa. Prashant Bhai Sahab I can see, and the entire family. Rohan I can see with his headphones on. Pranam. And Subbu Bhai I can see, Praveen Bhai I can see. Very happy to see you, Praveen Bhai. Happy to see you, Subbu too.
Yes.
Now, Usha Ben, I can see. Himanshu Bhai, I can see. Himanshu Bhai Dhruv was with me in UK all the time, so it was very good to have him there. Madhuri Ben, I can see. Naresh Bhai, I can see. And Meher, Swati Ben, pranam to all. Astha Didi, Astha, sorry. Dhwani, Mokshda Ben. Sonia Didi, Sajal Ben, Sajal, Asta, it's keep changing in the band. So anyone I missed Mitesh's phone, I can see, and all other people that I cannot see, my pranams to all.
Pranam.
Thank you so much, Priya. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure to get your precious time, and please continue to be with us like this. It's actually a blessing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Dhanyawad.
Thank you. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. Happy day.
Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. My gosh. My gosh.
Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.